Oh my gosh. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Ashley Nicole Show. I'm super excited about the topic we're going to be talking about today. And in fact, this may be one of those podcast episodes that goes on the Ashley Nicole Show and Speak Your Way to Cash because there are far reaching implications. So I'm super stoked to get into this conversation and this discussion. Let me just pull up what I need to pull up and give you guys some time to get on in the room. All right. Okay, good. So we're here, we're live. Thank you all so much for joining us. So I have a special guest with me today on the Ashley Nicole Show. I am so excited to welcome for the first time on either of my shows, either of my podcasts, my husband, Christopher Kirkwood.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is it still morning?
Yes, it's
All
still
right.
morning, babe.
Right. Good morning. How
Good
are you?
morning.
It's good to see you. Feel like it's been a while.
Oh my goodness. Y'all have to excuse me because he still makes me blush. So I have to try to maintain my focus and make this make this very impactful. So here's what we're talking about today. And just drop a hello in the comments if you're joining us, if you can see us, you can hear us. If you're listening to this podcast after the fact, then let me know that as well. Let me try to silence my phone. How do you do that?
It's on the side. On the left side of the
Okay.
On the left side of the actual phone.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
And then you see that button.
Hopefully that worked. I don't know. Okay. So we're gonna get started. If you all hear anything, if you hear my phone go off, then
there's a button on this above the volume.
This is why. Editor, the person who edits this show, edit this out of the podcast. Please. Thank you. Finally. Okay. Good. Okay, we're back. Back like we never left. So we're going to be talking today about support, how to win your family support. And this is something that comes up all the time. And you all are going to hear some stuff you've never heard before about my journey and how it really was behind the scenes for me getting my husband's support and also building a business. But first, I want him to introduce himself. So again, Chris, welcome to the Ashley Nicole Show. Tell everyone who you are, how we know each other, all that good stuff.
Well, we know each other because we live together. We are husband and wife.
Support, how to win your family support. And this is something that comes up.
Is it 8 years in March? 8 years in March. So again, good morning. My name is Christopher Kirkwood. I am educated by trade. I have been working in the college and career space for about 10 years now. I'm a graduate of UIC, University of Illinois at Chicago. And that is actually where Ashley and I reconnected. We did go to high school together, but we had no formal relationship until she transferred to UIC for college. And so that's really where our love story began, our senior year of undergrad. Okay, so fast forward. Why am I here? I am here because my wife is amazing. She's crushing it. Personally, I am a behind the scenes individual. I do not like being in the camera, which is why it's taken so long for me to get here, and to see in front of all of you all. But I have come to the conclusion that now is just the chance. It's a chance, an opportunity, and it's the time for me really to buckle down and to help and support Ashley officially with all of the businesses. And I'll say our businesses because I've been there since before conception of Speak Your Way to Cash, Mobile General Counsel, all things Ashley, the Ashley Nicole Show,
Passion, Purpose, and
Paychecks. So all of those things we have really designed and talk about together.
Yes, absolutely. And if you all have any questions, love, marriage, business, please let us know. Drop them in the chat so that we can answer those questions while we're here. It's very rare that we get Chris here. Like, he knows me better than anyone. So this is going to be good. We're going to dive right in because one of the things that I would like for everyone to know is this. Chris, I get questions all the time that say, you're so confident. You always seem like you have it together. Without going into too many details, what would you say to the person who looks at me or looks at us and thinks we always have it together? I'm said I always have it together and I know what's going on because you see behind the scenes. So you can talk about my struggles in a way that I dismiss because I don't dwell in that. But you were actually there. You actually see it. What would you say to that person who wants to, achieve at a high level, but feels like they don't have the confidence to do it?
I will say that, Ashley, you are, if not one of the most confident persons I've ever come in contact with. And still, you have moments where you don't feel like you have it all together. And I would say, she's a real person. We are real people. I've always been a realist. I can really see beyond a lot of facades. So I know that even when people get online and they put forth this representation of themselves, that's not the fullness of who they are. And the same is true for Ashley. The same is true for us. We put our best foot forward. That's not to say that we're hiding anything, but it is to say that there are some things that you don't show the rest of the world. There are some things that are intimate. There are some things that you are still working on, and therefore you don't put it out there because there could be, sometimes you get feedback when you are working on a project, but too many times today in social media, we get there's a backlash. People take that information and they use that against you. And if you are still working on a certain area, you are at your most vulnerable when it comes to that subject. And therefore, you are not yet ready to put that into the atmosphere to where people who don't care about you have the opportunity to criticize and break that down when they don't have your best interest at heart.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And so and honestly, social media is marketing. So you're using it to market. You're putting yourself out there in order to market to get to a desired result. So you want to make sure that you are looking at everything through that lens. But one of the things that I think you brought up that is critical that I want people to kind of get into is like, he said he's a realist. I am not a realist. I am like a visionary. If I get an idea, I'm running with it. I don't care what's real. I don't care what it looks like. Good morning. I don't care about any of that. I am like going with it. So I would come home from events sometimes and be hyped. Like I would have met 2 or 3 people. We're networking. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. And I would come home and I'd be like, hey, I just met a new friend. This is going to be amazing. We're going to do all these great things together. I have this new business idea. I'm going to partner with so-and-so. We're going to get all this done. And Chris would be like, first off, them people aren't your friends.
Yeah.
First of all, they're not your friends at all. And you need to back it up. And for me, that felt like it wasn't support, but in reality, it was protection. So can you talk a little bit about how that balance plays out and how like it doesn't, because I don't know if it's a woman thing. I don't know if it's a man thing. I don't know if it's just entrepreneur versus someone who's in corporate, but how, because those were tougher times for us to communicate, but like from your vantage point, what was that about? Like, why weren't you as excited as me at the outset? and how can people who are at home who want that support, what do they need to communicate to their spouse so that they can get that support?
So be more specific about the timing. Like at which time?
When I first started the business. And
Which
you were
one?
just, which one?
Okay. When you first started the business, you were doing a whole bunch of videos on social media. But what I recognized with the audience is that it just wasn't who you needed to be in front of yet. There were a lot of people who I call gassers. They would get on there, they would charge you up, they would amp you up, but when it came down for them to support you financially or support you by showing up to an event, they were nowhere to be found. And so that bothered me. And looking forward, I was thinking to myself and saying to you, how do we make this sustainable by which you can make a profit? You can, or if you are doing an event or doing videos, a series, whatever, that it is worth your time, that like there is some kind of benefit to which you are, you're getting access to a larger audience. You're getting access to a greater pool of people that will open up doors for you later, or that you will get to meet someone that can speak into your business, in growth. So I'm always looking for avenues of benefit. Like, where's the reciprocity, and where is where is the value add? And that's with people, because people will waste your time. You all know if you want. I don't really. I'm not a person who has taken advantage of social media for business or any real reason. I get on there. Really to
watch videos.
I get on there because it's an outlet of it's entertainment for me in most instances. But actually, really, this is an avenue of business for her, and I wanted to make sure that was clear between that. If I'm getting online and I'm going, if I ever go live, it's for something probably funny, family related. So I wouldn't be expecting for Ashley to spend too much time, with a person like me. And that is really what I was saying. Like, get online, get in front of people who are going to be a value add, who are going to spend the money, who are going to value you, who are going to support you, or they're going to share it with people who would be in your perfect audience.
One of the things he would do is I would be so excited. I'd be so excited to talk to him. I'd be so excited to tell him about what's going on. Mike said that's my cousin, Mr. Kirkwood. So, and I'd be so gassed up. I'd be so happy. And he would be like, are these people going to pay you? Did they pay an invoice? Are they going to make you some money? What is the point of this? And I think that one of the benefits of having family that is not easily impressed is that I am always very motivated to do more, because Chris never really lets me celebrate fictitious wins, or what do you call them? When it's like you get an award and it looks like gold, but it's not gold. I can't think of the name for it, but it's like
gold?
Not fool's gold. I don't know. It's like when you get, I don't know. It's hard to describe the word that I'm thinking of, but essentially a lot of what social media is and a lot of what social media promotes are things like you could put up a post that says anything. I was in paper ABC in the middle of nowhere, read by no one. And it'll be 1 million people on social media that'll be like, yes, you killing it, girl. You doing it. Yes, yes, yes. Woohoo, goals. You know what I mean? And so in the beginning of the online space, because people are so exceptional at gassing, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm killing it. And Chris was like, but the bank account don't look like you're killing it. Like, you're not able to employ anyone. You're still working all the time. You're still doing all these things. And so he was like the person who was like, okay, this is good. I'm glad you're happy, but we need tangible results that will help to feed our family. And that is what he was looking at this because, as most of you on here know, but I left a $300,000 salary to come and start my own business. And so when I did that, imagine how that affects the household. I literally had to be like I had to get his buy-in and his support. And I want to ask you about that. When that money left our household, what were because I've actually never asked him this, guy. So if you, I see we have some questions, and we're going to get to the questions that we have up here. But I want to ask him this while I remember it, because I've never even seen this. And someone said, my husband it's always like, how much money is it bringing in? Yes, they keep us focused. How did you feel when I came home and was like, not only am I leaving this $300,000, but I'm not going to go back into the workforce and get it back?
That is that answer to that question is it's not straightforward in the way you would think it, because we were in such a unique position in our lives. So essentially it would need more context than I could give it right now. I do know this. I was looking forward to there being a big shift in some ways that we moved, that we lived. I knew that there was going to be difference. I did, come to appreciate. I got used to some of the perks that you received from Big Law.
Yeah.
Right. The lifestyle was cool. However, I was at no moment was I worried, because I know Ashley and I know us. We lived in my college apartment, dorm apartment when we first got married. I ditched one of my 400 level classes for us to go get married.
Yeah.
Like, I left school, went to the church, we got married, and we went back to my dorm. Like that was, you know what I mean? So that was like the first 6 months we lived in until we graduated. And even after we graduated, I sold our college books after we graduated for the last bit of money we needed to put the deposit on our first apartment. So I knew that we were scrappy and that we could make it through. It wasn't the money that I was concerned about. What I was concerned about and conflicted with was her progress, her path, and her plan to move forward. I have seen Ashley make up her mind about something and then follow through to the T. And so as long as she had that attitude, as long as you were like in that mind space, that head space, I was like, cool, we gonna grind.
Yeah.
We pulled back the budget immediately. It was like some things we're not gonna do, but to be honest, we didn't really suffer or we didn't suffer things. There are some things we sacrificed and we gave up. There was no more black cars, right?
Right.
Like we couldn't just do the black car. There was no more, there were no more lunches like randomly in the middle of the day.
And not only that, like you all have to, like we would do, if I would win a trial or something would happen and we were excited, Chris would come home and I'd be like, babe, next week we're going to Jamaica. He'd be like, we doing what? I was like, yeah. And then Monday after that, I think we're going to do Thailand. Like we all, like it was because we didn't spend our money on like cars and Gucci bags. Like if you go back, and there's nothing wrong with that. I wasn't excited. Like, oh, I'm about to go get this new Gucci. Like that wasn't my thing. It was like, all right, I'm about to hop this flight. And if we do really well that year, it's like, we going to fly first class internationally. Like those are the things that we love to do. So I totally get the lifestyle point. There's 2 questions that came through. So if you have any more questions, let us know. But one is, how did you shift your mindset, Ashley? What was your first sacrificial moment that you remember going into being a full-time entrepreneur? One of the things here's what really led me to being a full-time entrepreneur: disrespect. If we're 100% honest about it, my pride wouldn't let me be disrespected the way that corporate America disrespected me. Like at the point that it was like, I had this boss, right? And I've talked about her before, and I don't even want to give her that much credence, but the short and long of it is she was disrespectful. She thought that I had to be grateful for her for an opportunity. It was a white woman. She thought that she had given me something that I could not have gotten otherwise. And so she wanted to make it very clear that everything I had in that moment, it was from her. I was doing that, like, and then she talked to me crazy. Like I'm talking like disrespect. And it was at that moment that I was like, you know what? Never again. I will always control my destiny. I will always hold the power. And I am not going to allow any person, particularly as a Black woman in this world, I was not going to work this hard to allow, and I'm going to just be real with you all, a woman who looked like people that used to oppress my people talk to me and act like my parents, my generation, my family's legacy, their hard work wasn't what got me here. It was her. I wanted to make it. I just wasn't going to tolerate that high level of disrespect. And I got so angry about it that I made this decision in my mind that was like, if these people, this predominantly white law firm that 20 or like 50 years ago, I could not have worked at, right? If this law firm is going to pay me $300,000, then that means I have to be worth millions upon millions, because they never give Black people stuff for free. Like, look at history. When has it ever been like, you know what? We're going to give this to y'all. You all have done enough. You all helped build this country. Never. And so it was the disrespect, and not only the disrespect from me, but then I started to look up at all the Black women lawyers and Black men lawyers that I respected. And I was like, okay, well, babe, you know, he's a partner. He's this, she's that. And then I talked to them and they had no power. They couldn't make decisions. They couldn't decide we're going to hire 50 Black lawyers and get it done. They couldn't decide we're going to make sure that Black people get promoted and get it done. They couldn't even speak up when Black people were being disrespected because they were so scared of losing that little money that somebody gave them. That was so weak to me. If I'm going to just be real, It was disrespect that made me an entrepreneur, because I started thinking about it. I was like, why would God give me this voice when I can't use it? And what made me even more mad was, as a Black woman, I was still allowing white people to tell me how I could use my voice, because I was so scared that if I used my voice in the right way, they would take my check and my family couldn't eat. Absolutely the heck not.
So that's more of a context and background, right? So you add that, and then she comes home and says like I'm leaving Big Law. I'm like, Well, and I asked a few questions. I said, remember when we first got married and we were talking about law school, and you said that, working in big law, becoming a partner was your dream. Is that still the case? And because I was under the impression that she had already made it to the career space that she wanted to be in, and she was just gonna, go straight to the top.
Yep.
And she told me that it wasn't. And then she began to lay out what she wanted to do. And I was like, cool, because we already have a platform with that.
Yeah.
By this time, we were already recording the Ashley Nicole show every Saturday morning at the crack of dawn.
Oh yeah. Okay. So wait, I need to write that down because we got to go back to that because Chris definitely has something to say for that. But another point that what Chris is saying. So yeah, we were recording the Ashley Nicole show. I got to tell you about that. This is not the first time we're doing this. But one of the questions that came up that I think is relevant now before I forget is they was like, what's your philosophy on giving back as a family and building and rebuilding your community? So one of the things we started while I was in Big Law and while Chris was at another company, not the company he's at now, was this company. It was a nonprofit called the Kirkwood Foundation, where we were teaching Black students on the west side of Chicago about Black professionals in high-paying careers that made six figures or more within 3 years of graduation. So our philosophy has always been we have and then we give, but we give from what we have. My husband has a background of service. His family's a pastor. My dad's a pastor. And what we saw growing up was so many church people that gave from lack versus giving from abundance. And so it's our philosophy as a family that yes, we're going to give. Yes, we're going to give back, but we're going to ensure that our foundation is solid so that we're giving from abundance so that we don't have to start and stop. And so the Kirkwood Foundation was self-funded. For the most part, we maybe raised a couple $1,000s a year, but it was predominantly self-funded. And we took them to Google and CurlMix and all these other big companies that they were able to see Black excellence at these organizations and at these companies. And we taught them how to ask for money and ask hard money conversations. Yeah. So the Kirkwood Foundation was beautiful. We did it for 3 years. When our class graduated and went off to college, our last class, we stopped the foundation. So that was last year, I believe. And we were able to give each of them, I think, $1,500 scholarships so that they could do what they need to do in college. But we should be able to do more. And we're planning now, the next phase of our giving will be based on revenue markers for our law firm. So for the law firm. So for Mobile General Counsel, that's the firm that I own. Once that reach certain revenue markers, we have a plan to ensure that we're donating that money back into, and I can't say, because I'm from Flossmoor, so it's not going to go to Flossmoor. I live in my actual hometown community is a very nice community. I'm not going to be donating money to them, but to propelling Black excellence, and also some global initiatives that we have, but it's based on abundance. Yeah, it's not going to be we give while we're trying to no, we're not. So, I don't believe. So
what we made sure is we were in a position to give. If it was going to come from us personally, we weren't going to hurt from it, right? We didn't give anything that we didn't have the space to give, and and eventually, I think after after the first year, we actually raised funds, grant funding from a few different sources. And so we really poured into those students everything that we knew. Yeah. Not only did we take them out to different places, but we brought in doctors, Black doctors. We brought in other Black lawyers. Yep. We brought in other public speakers, teachers. We put them in front of people that look like them so that they can aspire. And we told them that you are going to be challenged to give back to your community. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be asked by your family. We want to make sure that you, to the students, are in a best position to give back. So you are not giving from your last. You're not spending your rent money trying to help somebody else pay their rent. That's not the motto that's going to help us to achieve wealth. And we wanted to make sure that we instill that into the young people that we were in front of. And so that was really the motto. It was, how do you give from a place of abundance? I seen somebody say that. That was our motto. We want to make sure that the next generation of Black and brown individuals, they understand that you should give back, you should serve, you should also be in be in a position financially to be able to donate things.
And you don't have to feel guilty about it. And I'll be honest, like that's not we have very different but very parallel backgrounds. So we went to the same high school, went to the same junior high, went to the same grammar school, although we did not know each other at all those phases, as he likes to always point out. But both our parents are pastors, and it's almost like we had parallel backgrounds, but very different.
It's different sides of the same coin.
Different sides of the same coin. Let me see if our daughter's up. Okay, she's moving around, but she ain't up yet. But so that's something to consider. But one of the things that was helpful with us with our backgrounds is that although I grew up in a family where money was like my parents did well. Like whatever we wanted, we could have. We traveled as kids. We flew all around, like driving in nice cars, like nice restaurants. I grew up like that. And so when I would approach situations, it was never from a mindset of like lack or I couldn't have it. My dad taught me very young. First off, my mom taught me that I'm the prize. So they were big on like, look, you the prize. You date somebody, this ain't charity. If he don't got X, Y, and Z, it's cool for you to move on and leave. And my dad taught me if someone gives you a no, they're just not the right person to give you a yes. So I went into all rooms with that, like I'm about to dominate type personality. And my husband was like, well, first of all, he would have to tell me like, babe, no, that's not normal. That's not how people think. You got to make sure that you're being, reasonable here. So what was the shift for you? Because some people feel guilty about success, or they feel like that's being selfish or being arrogant or whatever because they want to get it. What was your shift that was from like, okay, I may have been raised a certain way, but I don't have to limit myself based on how I was raised. How did you get to the point where you're like, my family is going to build wealth. We are going to have some stuff and we are going to save and help some people.
I believe that is still an ongoing process. However, I am way closer to the side that says my family is building wealth. I believe it was probably while we were dating, and I got a chance to really get to know Ashley's family and understand where they were coming from. That's something that I believe I do really well is I'm going to watch and observe and see how people move and see what they talk about to see what's most important to them and then see how that plays out in their actions. And it was something that was very, very crucial to me to see that. I grew up watching The Cosby Show and aspiring to have a family like that. Watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and looking at how Will was placed, in a surrogate family that showed him different things. And so that was always something that I knew that I wanted to reach, right?
Yeah.
Those were my only representations of that. I didn't have a real one until I started to branch out and see people and families like Ashley's family, her parents, and see how they interacted with each other and how there was just such a great expectation on where she would go, what she would achieve. And that's something that I didn't personally get. And it's of no fault of my parents. They taught me what they were taught. And that's something that I think once I realized that my parents did the greatest job they could have ever done with the knowledge that they had available to them and the resources that they had, then I got over myself, because it was like, it's anger, it's pain. It's like, well, how come y'all didn't do this? But I got to realize my parents were able to move from the west side of Chicago to Olympia Fields in a 5-bedroom house that was essentially, we lived on an acre of land.
Yeah.
And we were able to go to the best schools, some of the best schools in the country.
Yep.
With 6 kids.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still don't know how they did it. I still don't know, right? I still don't know, but I was able to see that because my father was an entrepreneur. My father is, he's a pastor. My father never had a job, like an actual clock in 9-to-5 job my entire lifetime.
Yeah.
I don't know how he made money. But but I knew that he would take me to different meetings and deals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that he was business minded. They started a nonprofit. They had contracts with the city of Chicago. They had contracts with the state of Illinois. So I seen him move and get things. So it was there. And I learned the way and method in which I criticize, critique, and assess business and evaluation comes from my father. My demeanor comes from my mom. So that was always there. But it took me seeing a real life example and really, seeing that these people, they love God, they care for family, but they're about getting that paper.
Mm-hmm. And you can do all three.
And you can do all three, and you don't have to compromise. You don't have to compromise who you are, your integrity, your Christianity, or your religion, all of that stuff. Once I seen it, then it clicked for me, and I was like, cool, we here. That's where we're going. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And so for people watching who are like, okay, my husband, because I've seen some comments come through like, yeah, look, my husband's the same way. He's like, where's that paper at, baby? What's going on with the money? When are you going to make things work? At what point was it that you were like, okay, this may really work? Because you said you had no doubts, but was there ever a point where you were like, I don't know if this is going to work? Like, because I know it took about a solid, and I say this all the time when I started the business, it took about 6 months before we were really bringing in money. And it has not. And then I think it was last year, Chris was like, have you had a single month where you didn't make money? And I was like, no. We didn't have any months like that.
For me, it was, we watch a lot of business type shows.
Yeah.
Like one of our favorite shows today is The Prophet.
Yes, with Marcus Lemonis.
And that's something that I really, took to heart. And I was asking some of those questions that he posed, but then I had a name to give it. I had a terms and technical terminology in a lexicon to be able to really give critical feedback. And so once I was able to do that, it was like, okay, I'm not concerned with the long term. It's the short term goals. Mm-hmm. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing today? What are we doing tomorrow? What are we doing this week that's going to help us to streamline? Because at first, I don't know if you remember, you had about 6 different businesses going on at one time. And I was like, no, absolutely no, this is not going to happen. Yeah. I was like, and I told her, I said, 3 to 4 of those things you have to cut out because your time and attention is everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not that you can't do it, but you can't do it effectively. I do not believe in multitasking. I don't believe that it's humanly possible. There may be some anomaly. However, if you're doing 2 things, one thing is going to suffer.
Yeah.
You're going to do one thing better than the other. The other thing is going to lack attention. It's going to lack your dedication. You cannot focus. I don't believe that we are equipped as humans to do more than one thing effectively to the fullness of our capability at the same time. Yeah. There are times where we got to juggle a few things.
Right.
And that's where you prioritize. However, at that particular moment and that space in our lifetime, it was just too many things, and the majority of them were suffering. And because of that, it's like, okay, now you have to drill down, you have to narrow down and focus in on get at least one thing that you love to do, and then one thing that is going to bring in revenue now.
Yeah.
And so when they boiled down to it, it was speaking and it was law.
Yeah.
It was legal services. So it was at that moment, and she really had, because she was doing the show, the Ashley Nicole show.
Yeah, and then it was called Passion, Purpose, and Paycheck.
Yep.
So before I even started, this is a great question. Before I became a full-time entrepreneur, because some of you are still in corporate. What I did was I did this YouTube show. It is still up. So if you Google the Ashley Nicole Show, all the old videos, you got to scroll back a couple years. They're all still there. I interviewed entrepreneurs who were making money, full-time entrepreneurs, and talked to them about how they made their first, $5,000, where they got their funding from, how they started the business, how they bootstrapped. And I was doing this. I was going to work all day, but I would wake up at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I hired a videographer, a producer, a makeup artist, and I was doing this show and recording it. So Chris would be asleep and he loves to sleep, y'all. Saturdays, Chris would be asleep. 5 a.m., people are in there, makeup artists, and we in there cackling. Yogi, my makeup artist, oh my gosh.
Having a great time.
And we would be having a great time. And then we eventually got a studio and we really professionally produced it. So you all can go back and check out some of those videos. But I think that it was at that moment that gave Chris kind of a lens into, and it gave me a foundation upon which to do some market research into how are entrepreneurs who are making money doing it. Because I started my show when I would watch these shows and I'd be like, man, if you all listen to the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast, you know that I ask the questions that people want to know. Like, so how are you making money? What were you charging? How did you get your first client? And it was those probing questions that gave me insight into thinking. For a whole year I did this. It was like, okay, I've talked to 50 people who own businesses. I am similar to a lot of them. They told me how they made their first amount of money. They told me the struggles they had. So that way I'm not going in blind. So even though I didn't have a solid plan of when I was going to leave, I at least had a foundation upon which I could base decisions from just talking to other business owners. So for those of you out there that want to be exposed to people on a higher level, you're going to have to sometimes create platforms so that they are interested in speaking to you about what you want to know, because people are busy. But most people like platforms, so they will do that. So I want to answer this, get your opinion on this question. So let's read it first for the people on Instagram who can't see it. How did you know which idea was going to work and be profitable? So that's the question he's going to answer. So,
Tasia, that's a great question. What I seen is that people paid to see Ashley speak, to hear her speak. I knew that was going to be something that would be profitable in the long term once we found the correct process. However, in the short time, Ashley had already made a ton of money in her legal career. So I knew that was going to be the avenue because she was already well equipped to do it. She knew what she was doing and she could, get clients right away. So that was really it. I knew that it was going to be something that was there was already a need for it. It's scalable, and she had all of the tools by which to carry out that legal services. So that was the thing that was like, okay, this could bring in money right away. So that was the idea that we knew would be profitable. Long term, it was the speaking. I knew that speaking, her getting in front of an audience would be the thing that would potentially be really the big ticket item, so to speak. It would be the business that would really, really grow to be a huge, revenue generating business.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because Chris saw the potential for all of this when I didn't. There were literally moments, guys, when I was going to stop doing the firm. I was like, I'm not about to do this.
Absolutely not. And I told
I was in the car one day crying, and I was just like, I'm not doing this no more. I'm not about to be doing all this, taking all these calls with all these people. They talking about they don't got no budget. I'm not dealing with this. Like, I was over it. I was so frustrated. And it was in that moment that Chris was the one who was like, first off, you are going to keep doing that firm. Number one, you are going to keep doing that firm. And number two, you're going to grow this speaking practice because you're going to end up coaching people. And that is going to be your multi-million-dollar business. Because guess what? The more people hear you speak, the more people want you to speak. And that's what you go do. And I was like, no, it's not scalable. And people aren't going to pay me to coach them. And they're not going to pay me to do this. They're not going to pay me. And he was like, they are going to pay you. And I think you need someone who can see, like, you need a third party view, because it's very easy for us to discount our greatness because it comes so naturally to us. And Chris is the one, he's in the cut like, nah, I'm looking at how in a snowstorm, you filled up a pretty big stadium. You had 200 people come out in a huge snowstorm to hear you speak. And it was off nothing but the fact that you were going to be there speaking. Like,
they had no clue what they were going to come and see. Nothing. And in my head, I told Ashley when she was, frustrated, I was like, go talk to whoever you need to talk to, but you're not quitting this firm. Like, you're not, because I can only attribute it to the Holy Spirit. It was divine intervention, but I could see clear as day that there was a marrying of speaking and legal services.
Yeah.
It was just as clear as I can see this screen. It was just, no, it's going to blend. Just let it work. Like, trust the process. Like, it will work. And lo and behold, your speaking clients become your
legal
clients.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done with efficacy, with efficiency, and it's done with, it's done ethically. So
so that's been a real game changer for me. And I couldn't really see it, but he could. And that's the beauty and the blessing of having somebody on your team. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting my office redone. So if you hear noise, that's what it is. But it's like that having that support is really, 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 really important. So we've gotten a lot of questions here. This one says, how long did you practice before you decided to open your own firm? And do you recommend practicing at a firm before going solo? So I recommend, one, yes. Here's why. I practiced at the firm, I think it was 2 or 3 years. And then in law school, I did 3 firms as well. So I worked at a total of 4 law firms over the course of probably 4 or 5 years, if you include law school as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And so full-time 2 or 3 years. And the reason I recommend it is because, and this is just from my vantage point, if you can't do it, if you got to go full out and do your own firm right away, then you got to do that right away. What I love about having a big law experience first before having my own firm is that it showed me the greatness that is out there. Like I had never seen, I assumed we grew up middle class, upper middle class. I don't know what people consider that to be, but that's what I assumed it was. So I was like, okay, we're doing good. We're not like, the Kardashian level rich, but we're doing well. Like, I know we got some stuff, but going to that firm, oh, that was a game changer. Because I went and found the highest paid partners of the firm. There were people making $20+ million a year at the firm. And seeing that was so powerful to me because I had the confidence to walk into their offices, older white guys primarily, but that's all right. I'd walk into their offices and I was like, so Bob, tell me, how did you get your first client? And who gave it to you? And how did you develop that relationship? And when did you bring in business? And when did you do your first trial? And how many trials did you do? All right, Bob, well, I want to do the same thing. I plan on bringing in a ton of business to this firm. And they were so like impressed with the fact that I would even talk to them that they started putting me on game. And guess who was it? Let me tell you, this is why the whole race, there's all these racial injustices in America. If you can get past seeing people for their color and figure out what they know and get to the knowledge that they know, you're going to do better in life just anyways, right? But it was a mentor of mine who was a white guy. He had done well in corporate. He sat me down one day and he was like, you know what, Ashley, let me tell you something. You're a leader. And I could give you a job at my firm. We'd be glad to have you. We'd be honored to have you. But the fact of the matter is, our firm, the way firms are set up, we are not looking for leaders. We are looking for soldiers. When you're an associate, we are looking for soldiers. We are looking for people who are going to follow the directions, who are going to do what they need to do, who are going to listen, who are going to do it the way we want them to do it. Because at the point that you're an associate, you're not in charge. He was like, but you're a leader. You could be in charge. You could get business. You could do all of that. And so you want to make it very, very, very clear that you can, or you want to make sure that you're listening to people who have vision for your life, because it's going to be those individuals that help you to get to the next level. So I do recommend going to a firm because it gives you mentorship. I think it gave me confidence and it allowed me to see at the highest level how the game is played so that I can now bring that back to my clients, sell it to the clients that we're going to get in the future, and package it in a way that is industry standard and top of the line. So if you can work, don't just work somewhere, right? But if you could work somewhere that exemplifies greatness, that will teach you a skill set, then absolutely you should do that.
What she said.
Then absolutely you should do that. So someone said, I found your site on YouTube in the earlier days and you've evolved so far. Your content has always been phenomenal, but the audio video made a great difference. In a short amount of time, your business has grown and I wish I committed with your team 2 years ago. It ain't too late. It's not too late. But yeah, I appreciate you being a part of the journey and kind of seeing that the evolution and seeing those videos. That really means a lot to me. So I really do appreciate that. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. It's definitely been a journey. So I definitely want to make sure that you all keep going and realize that. And Chris, what would you say to people who are like, how do I get that support? How do I get that support if I am married? And then if I'm not married, how do I choose the right person to be attached to my legacy so that I'm not making the wrong decision on the dating end? So I want your opinions on both of those.
One, you get support from your family by including them in what you are doing. And I know that may, like, on a base level, you may say, hey, mom, dad, husband, wife, sister, brother, whomever, I am planning on doing such and such. Well, they may say right away, they may give their honest, opinion, and they may say, hey, I don't think you should do that. However, the way that I was able to give support to Ashley is when she sat me down and explained certain technical things to me about whatever it is that she was doing. That way I'm now vested because I understand what she's talking about, and I can actually go on my own, look up things, watch other people, find some resources to be able to bring back. But it was only after she really explained to me what it is that she's planning on doing, and then we could talk together on how she's going to do it. But I'll tell you, we really had a difficult time when Ashley went to law school. When she first started law school, and then she got, a level of comfortability with legal terms in her classes, and she was meeting friends and different people, we started to go a different, in our different ways, because when we got together, I didn't understand what she was talking about. So it became really, really difficult for us to communicate, because she was fully vested in law school, but I didn't have an understanding. I didn't know. She was speaking a whole different language. And it was a few times we bumped heads. And then we actually sat down, and I was like, look, you have to explain these things to me. The only way that we can communicate is if we are the same wavelength, if we are speaking the same language. You have to get your family to speak the same language that you are. If they don't, cool, then you can only give them the surface level wins, the surface level, you can't make people support you. You can ask them, and there's a certain level of expectation, especially for your spouse, but that's not everybody. And here's another thing that I'm not gender bashing at all, but I've seen women do this. They will say that their husband is not supporting them, but they discount the husband or the significant other taking them to and fro to work, carrying in boxes, setting up events, rubbing their feet at night.
Answer this question next.
Just being there is a level of support that is often discounted by significant others, and that's something that I had to tell Ashley to do. Is that I work a full-time job. I will not be able to do everything right next to you. However, there's sometimes that I could actually give you support front loaded, but I won't be able to be there during the event, or I can be there afterward. And so that's something that we have to really, really, really take ownership of. There's another question. How do you work to find the right partner that will support you? It's all about vision, right? It's about vision. It's you have to make sure that the person that you are dedicating your life to has energy to be able to say, we are here today, but we plan on being there tomorrow. If you go and you are dating somebody that doesn't have any drive, no passion, no energy, no expectations, no goals, it's the wrong person for you. I don't need to know them. But you know that there's some people who are going to be there and have your back. You start at a friendship level, right? You have to. Ashley and we first met and we first interacted on the level that, hey, your family is similar to my family. We started a relationship, and that was a game changer for us, because once we started talking about what our family background, we started talking about what our goals are. And then we started to actually put our goals together. And you have to be able to have conversations with your husband, with your wife, with your girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, whoever that is, with your life partner, about where you guys are going. You have to dream together. In our vacations, we would go to Bali. We would sit there out in the middle of the jungle at our hotel, and we would just dream about next year we are going to be there. Next year we're going to do this. But when we first got together, we were going to Schaumburg. When we first got married, our trips, our vacations were in Schaumburg. They were in local towns. We did staycations or small getaway trips, but we were always talking about the future. We were always planning, and not just talking about it. We were getting resources. We put ourselves in front of older couples that have been married, 20, 30, 40 years. It was always about who can help us to get to the next level. It's always about you. So you have to find somebody that you can really grow with. And sometimes it's the underdog, but you give people the opportunity when you're dating, but when you're married, it's a different thing. You have to be able to talk to each other, to communicate effectively, to be able to criticize, ask those critical questions.
Yeah. So you answer how to find the right partner.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
I believe so. I mean.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, this is good, guys. Okay, if you all, so here's what I want you all to do. I know he was down here dropping gems while I was going with our little princess. There's another question for Chris. Okay. Ooh, okay. Come on with this question. I'm gonna let Chris answer this. I ain't gonna say nothing.
All right, so there's a question.
You gotta read it.
I'm impressed how you check your ego in supporting your wife and in essence supporting your family. How did you check your ego and support her dream and not pursue your own? Well, I want to say that I am pursuing my own, and my dream is really to build up the next generation of Black people. And so that's something that I've been working, because I still work full time. I work full time in education. And so I'm able to do that. And then we found a way to marry my dream to what Ashley is doing. And so I get fulfillment out of being there and supporting my family. And so my ego is, I'll say, I was jealous of Ashley's, not her success, not her making more money than me. I never had a problem with that. But what I was really I struggled with when we first got married was her ability to identify what her dream was, identify what her life's journey was, what her reason for being, and then dedicate it to it. And so that's something that I actually had to learn, and I learned it from Ashley. So my ego got in check by me saying, okay, so why, if I'm upset, what am I upset about? And at the end of that dialogue with myself, it wasn't Ashley, it was me. It was my own, personal, it was my personal hindrances that stopped me from doing that. And so that's something that I just told myself, like, we win together. If she wins, I win. If I win, she wins. And that was, after I came to that conclusion, which was like, maybe year 2, I was like, all of this stuff is like off to the side. So it became, I had to have a real deal, sit down with Chris and say, Chris, look, fool, if she does well, the whole family does well. So it's more beneficial for you to build and support. And so because my aspirations are about traveling the world, and I really have I like finance. I really like the stock market. Those are something that I'm able to, I'm able to do that. And support Ashley with whatever she needs.
So can I just say, one, I love that he started off. And first off, thank you so much for asking that question, because I feel like that's a question that a lot of people have, but would never even have the confidence or vulnerability to ask. And I appreciate you for just sharing your heart with everyone about that question, because I'm sure that a lot of people are wondering that. But as we're building this business for now, Chris is securing our legacy through what he does in the stock market. We don't talk about it a lot, but Chris has 150% returns this year, if not more.
Yeah.
If not 200% returns. When it was being managed by a large company, the returns were like 3%. My husband's over here getting 100 and over 100% returns, securing our legacy, securing our retirement, investing that money, doing options trading, and then studying it, reading books on it, listening to podcasts on it. So the stuff you can't see is securing the future and the foundation, and the stuff that you do see is securing us right now. And I think that is why you need a real deal team member, like someone who's like interested in your success. Look at her, Christelle's like,
and I am 100% okay with other people not being okay with our situation. That it doesn't it don't press me, it don't bother me. You do what you need to do at your household. And I just want to say to all of the men out there that you once you pick your wife, you are blessed. And you have to treat her with the kindness and respect that she deserves. I realized that my wife is a beast when it comes to corporate, when it comes to public engagement, when it comes to legal. Like, those are things that she is gifted with, right? She has those talents. And I would do well. It's biblical, right? It's within my best interest, our best interest, for me to uplift her in those things. And she does an excellent job at doing that for me. Right. And so I just want to say, like, you're not less of a man if your wife makes more money than you, but you are less of a man if you make her feel a certain kind of way because she does.
Ooh, y'all, we weren't even gonna go. That wasn't even on the agenda.
I mean,
today.
Like, you have to know that you are doing what you need to do to make sure that your family is secure, is safe, that your family is taken care of. And there were some things that I was able to give, for our family when we bought our house. When we first bought our house, it was money from our IRA, from my IRA that helped us to get that. And I only share that to say that there are things that you can do to help secure movement forward for your family, and you have to be okay with that and never let any other man, because it was a man, a black man, older black man, that asked me, "Hey, aren't you intimidated that your wife makes more money? She's so successful." And I looked at him up and down like he was a fool, because that was a foolish thing to say. I smiled and I moved, and kept it moving, because there are some things that people will say to you that don't warrant a response. You don't have to argue with fools. And to the ladies out there, it's about making sure that your husband feels secure. Yeah. And sometimes it is a brush of the ego. Sometimes it is. But what's wrong with that if it's not? You don't got to be over the top. And you have to have expectations for each other. Yeah. You all together have to decide what the areas of strength and weaknesses are for each other. Yeah. And then you figure out how do you balance that out so you have the best possible outcome for your family. Yeah. Yeah, this is such, like, honestly, these are the types of conversations that people aren't having publicly because of ego. And I would just say, to all the women out there, we have to be careful to protect what's ours, because I see a lot of conversation that sometimes, like, if a man ain't making X, Y, and Z, I ain't never going blah, 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 blah. When we got married, neither of us had made anything. Like, if we're being real, we both came with nothing. And when I left my job, and that 6 months we weren't making money, Chris was providing 100%. And so you have to be very, very, very careful about the things that you give homage to, and the things that, like, for me, when I was looking for a husband, I wasn't even looking for a husband when I got married. We got married so young. But when I decided I was going to marry Chris, it was all about, what is his character like? What is his character like? Like, that was the number. What is his character like? Does he love God? Will he check me? Will he check me? Like, that's the other up there where character was like, will he check me? Will he tell me when I'm wrong? Will he ensure that I actually get into heaven? You know what I mean? Like, those were really, really, really big things. And we saw a question earlier that was like, it was a question for me. How do you maintain your confidence? Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here it is. Hey, Ashley, heard you on a podcast last week. I'm starting over at 57 and struggling with confidence as I start my own business. What suggestions would you make for support and keep going this? So number one, I don't know what your family situation is like, but I would see if you could just find one person who can support you. Just one person who you can be vulnerable with, who you can share your wins with, who you can celebrate things with, because that's going to be really, really important. Number two, I would develop confidence building activities. So this could be like, if I make 5 posts this week, I'm going to celebrate at the end of the week. It's not tied to finances. It's not tied to anything else. If I get 1 like this week, that means that I'm impacting a life. That person could then go, because I believe in ripple impact. We look at impact like, oh, she has 15,000 followers. She's making a lot of impact. Or, oh, she's speaking to so many people. Or, oh, she made 7 figures. She's making a lot of impact. Oh, she has a husband. She's making a lot of impact. We need to reevaluate impact, not in terms of social media numbers, but like real numbers. If each and every person, I heard this, someone said this to me and it really changed my life. When I first started my YouTube channel, no one would watch. I'd have like 9 views, and not no one would watch.
Sometimes no one would watch,
Very
but
few.
sometimes it'd be very few people. It'd be like nine or 10 views. And there was someone who said, if you were in a live room and you came to a live event and 10 people after that event came up to you and said, my life was changed from watching that video, how would you feel? That's the exact same way we should feel when we have 5 people like a post. Those are 5 real people. That's one real person that you impacted. And that impact has a lot of value. And so I would shift what you consider to be success, make it based on things like activities that you can reach, and make service goals instead of just income goals. I want to serve 50 people. And these are the avenues that I'm going to do that, because income and visibility and all the things that we glorify come from high level service. If you can serve really, really well, you're going to impact a lot of people. You're going to make a lot of money. You're going to do a lot of good. But if all of your goals are like fictitious goals, it's going to be hard. So when confidence, one, I've given you a lot, but confidence comes from doing. You have to do stuff in order to get confidence in it. You want to be a speaker, you have to speak. You want to be a lawyer, you have to go to law school. You have to do stuff. And as you start to do stuff and you get better at it because you are prepared for it, you're going to build your confidence up. And if you still struggle, write out goals. I gave an exercise last night that was like, you need to rewrite your life story. So I'm 57, I'm starting over. Maybe that story serves you, but maybe a better story that'll serve you even more is, after having over 50 years of experience in this life, I've decided to rebrand and give the world something better, an even better version of myself. And I know these next 5 years are going to be even more impactful than the last 50 because I have experience to lean on that I didn't otherwise have. I'm so excited about the next level opportunity that I'm walking into. I can't wait to impact more people. Sometimes our language is just not very positive. It's like negative. Like, I'm 57 and I'm starting over. Why'd you say that? Is it because you think that that is old and so it's too old to start over, or you have some issue with that? Like, you want to just make sure that whatever narrative you tell yourself about your present is a narrative that serves your future. Like, that would be the overarching theme that I would say for that. But 57, my mom is, how old is my mom? Like 60?
No, she's not 60 actually.
Oops. I mean, she looks good either way.
Like 50,
she's 50,
50s, like 50s.
55.
Yeah, she's
in her 50s.
She's in her
My mom's in her 50s. But like in her 50s, she lost what? Like, she lost all this weight, redid herself. She's reinvigorated her career. She went back to school after we were grown to get her MBA. She's never allowed age or people's perception to stop her. And honestly, she looks amazing. She's always looked amazing and always been very fly. But I feel like this is probably going to be some of the best years of her life. Yeah. And it's after her kids are grown, whatever the age is. And so I just look at that and I'm like, man, age doesn't have to, the seeing my mom age so gracefully has shown me that age doesn't have to be a prohibitor to greatness or a prohibitor to reinvention or a prohibitor to innovation. And all the narratives we have about age, especially as women, we can just totally throw those away by looking at women who have defied or gone against those standards. So I would just, I would just keep that in mind. Look at people who motivate you and go from there. Someone says, powerful message. This is so good. So look, guys, if you enjoyed having Chris on today, because Christelle's going to need attention now, and we got to go have family day stuff. If you've enjoyed having Chris on today, just drop a note about how Chris impacted you, how much you enjoyed having him on, because here's why. I'm going to need these notes to get Chris back on, because I really want him to do more. And Chris, you had another question. And I've asked him this question.
Yes.
Okay, I have asked Chris this question. This is deep, bruh. I'm into finance and stocks, but I've lost a lot of money. Have you considered making a group for Bros at HF or online?
So I want to say I've lost money too. Like we lost some money, right? We lost some money and we lost out on some great opportunities. So I feel like that, and my mentors have shared with me, like if you haven't lost, then it's about yet. And so I think that it's just par for the course. I have considered about making a group. The reason why I haven't done it and I've put it off is because I want to be able to be in a place where I am sure of my technical, just a lexicon, right? It's just a level of confidence for me personally. Is really the only reason why I haven't done it. But I'm more than more than willing to be a part of a group just to uplift one another and just, share ideas. That's fine. But Ashley wanted me to do like a class. I'm not
or a podcast.
Or a podcast. And so
just interviewing other people, because he has great mentors in it. My dad does stocks, taught him a bit. Then he has another mentor that taught him even more. And so now it's like, you should share this. That's all I'm saying.
So I will. It's a matter of when. Yes, I will.
Yeah. Okay, good. So hold him to it.
But don't stop trading. Don't stop investing. Because you lose money. And that's something that I had to learn. It hurts. It sucks losing money, but remember that it's about learning. It's all about, you don't take a L. It's a lesson. So get back on there. And don't feel bad if you have to start, using, if you have to start by purchasing, percentages of shares of stock, so start when you need to start. We started by first, we opened up our accounts and then we will put in, a couple $100 at a time until we started, a little nest egg to be able to invest in.
Yeah.
But we started with like $500 and made our first investment. Right. And it was a bust. It was a bust. Like we lost all our money the first year. But I started learning and we were able to over time just be able to grow. And that's something that like I got a lot of energy from because it was a small win. I think, it Ashley was talking about, rebranding. I feel like I'm in a season of rebranding. Like I've been in service and in education my entire life. I'm inching up to my mid-30s, which I'm young. However, I've been doing this one thing for a very long time.
Over a decade.
And it was Ashley who told me, like, you have experience. You have such great experience in doing these things that you could easily transfer those skills to a different industry. And that's, I feel like that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah. No, this was good. And so we got a comment. It says, this was great to get a male perspective from a husband who has a wife who's very ambitious and a trailblazer. Yeah. This was good, guys. Okay, we're going to do this more. Come on as a family. Even if me and Chris try to come on, Christelle's going to make an appearance. She'll be talking soon. She probably would go to her daddy. You want to go to your daddy?
Hey.
Oh my goodness. Look at that smile. As soon as daddy picks her up, she's like all smiles. But yeah, so I'm glad you all joined us for this episode of the Ashley Nicole Show. I'll also make sure I put this on the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. If you're listening to this after the fact, you want to join live, make sure your notifications are on. For those of you who like this, we try to plan our lives, but it's hard with the baby. So just make sure your notifications are on Instagram and on Facebook. We're going to be going live more as a family and talking through some of the things, because at this point in my life, there's just no way I could share with you guys my heart without also giving you the perspective of Chris and Christelle when she starts talking and speaking her way to cash too. But this was dope. So thank you so much for joining again. Have an awesome day. And I am praying for this country. It looks like it may turn out all right. Okay. All right. Have a good one. Talk to you all soon.
Great talking.